welcome to Flick Check. I, as always, am your host, Andrew Waltman. With me, as always, Discount Paul Schaefer, my loyal sidekick slash band leader. How you doing today, Paul? Well, I guess you could say I'm doing well, but you could also say a lot of things about me. Okay, so, thank you, Paul. I've been doing Flick Check for about 3 months now, and people seem to like it. I thank you, everyone, for supporting me. I thought tonight we would take a break from our usual review format and do some fan service. I went on Facebook and Twitter, and I asked people to submit films for Fast Flicks. This is a speed round where I'll give you a quick thought on a movie and a grade. So, I'd like to thank everyone that submitted. Here we go. Let's get it started and ha! Tyler Haber, hi Tyler, wants to know what I thought of The Matrix. Well, it's not my absolute favorite movie, but it's really good. I like it. It has some really nice themes about like reality and what's real and what's fake. Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus, that's iconic. And I think that may be Keanu Reeves' best role to date other than Bill and Ted. Plus, the special effects were astounding. So, I'll give that a check plus. Our next one comes from Dennis Wakeman. Hi, Dennis. Wants to know what I thought of Cloud Atlas. I went into this not exactly knowing what I was getting because the trailers were pretty confusing. I liked it. It was certainly ambitious for what it was trying to do. I mean, it takes six or seven different stories and twines them together, and they're completely unrelated, other than the fact that they share the same actors. It was ambitious. I don't think it completely achieved what it wanted to do, but I was thoroughly entertained by it. So I'll give that a check. Next, okay, this is one of my most common requests. I just saw it like maybe a week ago. This one comes from Chloe Rabinowitz. Hi, Chloe. Requiem for a Dream. I'm very interested in cerebral movies that involve mainly around the mind. And Jared Leto, as always, he's a very, very talented actor. I love what he does in this. I'll give it a check plus. Next is from Nick Waskowicz. Sorry, but I could never pronounce your name, buddy. Human Centipede. Very hard movie to watch, I sat through it, yes. I was very uncomfortable, and the whole idea of sewing people together through as a film, I'd give it a check, but it's not something I'd ever watch again. Okay, Teresa Mandrin. Hi, Teresa. Wants to know what I thought of Night at the Museum. Okay, alright. It's mainly geared towards kids. That's obviously where you're going. I think it had enough that adults could enjoy it, but it's not something that they would pick up and watch on their own. But, of course, you got Ben Stiller, you got Robin Williams, you have Owen Wilson, Steve Coogan, Ricky Gervais. You have a great cast, and it's an entertaining movie. I'll give it a check. Okay, JT Rosero. Hi, JT. Wants to know what I thought of Ace Ventura. Oh, well, that's a classic Jim Carrey movie. You're looking at one of the first roles he got when he was done with In Living Color, or alongside it. I'm not exactly sure on the specifics. It's got a lot of great one-liners, a lot of funny gags. I'm not going to do the whole talking butt. Obviously, you need to check this movie out. It's a great movie. Check plus. Okay, DJ Bogus. Hey, Deej. Boyhood. Full confession, I haven't seen Boyhood yet. I'm planning on seeing it sometime this week before I go back to school, so I'll let you know as soon as I do. Next, Eric Herrera, who submitted 2. Space Jam, that's an absolute classic. I mean, that's on my top 25 movies ever made list. There's Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny alongside. It's not a great movie by the standards in which I look at movies now, but I love it just for the pure nostalgia. So, I'm going to give that a check plus. His other movie was Sharknado. it's a novelty. That's basically the pen that you see by the cash register that has all the funny colors on it. I wouldn't really even consider that much of a movie. It's I'd call it, give me a check minus. I just didn't really care for it. Like it buys into, like, the whole idea of going into that and wanting to like it is based upon how much you care about sharks or tornadoes. I mean, it's a gimmick. It's really just a gimmick. So check minus. Okay, we got 2 from Lauren Smith. Hello, Lauren. Frozen. I didn't see Frozen until a couple months after it came out because I wanted the buzz to die down a little bit, and when I noticed it didn't, and my buddy Kelly Booth asked me to take a look at it, I just figured, you know what, there's no escaping, I might as well check it out. I can't think of anything wrong with the movie at all. I mean, it's a strong Disney family movie. It's classic for what it is now. It's just not my cup of tea, so personally I'd give it a check, but that's just on what I personally prefer to see. And you also asked Gran Torino. Well, that's one of the last films we're probably going to get from Clint Eastwood. I mean, well, as an actor, it was nice to see him again. Like, he lately he's been taking like 4 or 5 year breaks in between. I liked it. It definitely, like, broke the barriers of racism in many neighborhoods. All in all, it's a very well-constructed movie. I'd give it a check plus.
Bet you forgot I was still here.
Okay, the next one is from Jillian Nadiak. Jill, I thought I would have more time before I started filming. I was not able to see The Man from Nowhere yet. And, a little note about my friend Jillian. She is very much into Korean culture. She actually spent a year abroad over in Korea. She loves K-pop. I think she likes this guy Top and Lee Min-ho. Her prerogative. She's asked me to review a couple Korean movies, and I haven't actually gotten around to it yet. I promise I will. I will get to it. And she will be on the show when I eventually do my review of Snowpiercer. So you can look forward to that. Jill, I promise we will make this happen. A Lannister always pays his debts.
I'd do a Game of Thrones parody, but I feel like I'd get poisoned.
Okay, Paul. Thank you. We have a couple anonymous submissions from people who don't want their name mentioned. So I'm going to respect that. Twilight. Check minus. Yes, I saw Twilight. It's part of the job. I didn't care for it. It was boring. And Kristen Stewart, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say she's a bad actress. She just hasn't really found something that'll work for what she has to offer. I think that new movie she has coming out about Guantanamo Bay, the name kind of escapes me right now, but that looks pretty interesting, and I feel like she could actually do well in that. So, but Twilight, check minus.
Hey, I got a joke for you. What does Kristen Stewart have in common with vampires? They both suck!
Stop it, Paul. Medea's Family Reunion. I've never actually seen any of the Medea movies. I feel like that's just an acquired taste. If that's your cup of tea, good for you. I'm just not really into it.
I take my tea with 4 cups of sugar and cocoa.
The Last Airbender. Ugh! I'm assuming you mean the M. Night Shyamalan one. That is actually the only movie I have ever left the theater for. I mean, it just kind of took a very good show and flipped it on its side and threw some poop on top of it. And come on, they can't even pronounce Aang correctly. I mean, come on. So check minus. Save your money. You got something for us, Paul?
One helping of the usual coming up.
Okay, now we have some viewer questions. These are all going to be read anonymously. Why do you and Discount Paul Schaefer look so much alike? That's pretty much the most common question I get. You want to take this one, Paul?
I don't think we look alike. You know, sure, we both got blonde hair and we're both incredibly handsome, but if people think we look alike, I don't know really what to tell them. I was born this way, baby.
I suppose I can field this one. I could give you the logical, obvious reason, but where's the fun in that? I mean, really. Paul is a life model decoy, or an LMD, of me. It was commissioned as part of a backup critic program from SHIELD, or Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. In the event that I'm unable to host the show, we would have a perfect match of me. So, it's not a clone, it's kind of a robot. Unfortunately, Skrulls from the planet Skrullos came down and they interfered with his circuitry. Now, for whatever reason, they received transmissions of late-night television, and the particular Skrull that got his hands on what is now Discount Paul Schaefer was a huge fan of the real Paul Schaefer. So, he interfered with the motherboard, kind of tinkered around in there, made it so that while he still looks like me, he now thinks that he is a imitation of Paul Schaefer. So, thus we have Discount Paul Schaefer. Does that sound about right, Paul?
Interesting story, but leaves me with more questions than answers. For example, how many Marvel comics do you own?
Okay, now, when will Queen Anika be back? I'm assuming you mean Anika Krempel. You'd have to ask her. We've been trying to work out the schedule. We do have something planned. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to happen, but yes, she will be back. How about the Captain? It was awesome to see you fight. Dan Cahill, he's one of my greatest friends, but he's also my worst enemy. So, I'd love to do something else with him. You want to spam his page, tell him that you want another crossover. Because I did enjoy that, even if we did almost strangle each other to death. How many movies do you see a year? Well, if we're talking mainly in forms of theater, I'd say maybe 60 or 70. If we're talking about like theater and on TV or streaming on Netflix, I could not even count that high.
I can tell you now, way too many.
How many movies are on the wall behind you? Well, I could ballpark it, but where's the fun in that? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
It's gonna take a while, folks. Why don't you go to the lobby and get some more pop? Oh, wait, he's time warping. All right, he's just about done.
356, 357, 358, 359. Okay, 359.
You didn't count the ones at the bottom there.
Because those are TV shows, Paul.
Well, excuse me.
Do you read other people's reviews? Good question. Yes and no. I support every other critic I know. I'll happily read their reviews. But I don't do that until I make my own review. That way, I go into a movie with my own critical lens, and I'm not being told what I should think before I see it. That way, I can give you my best opinion of what I think of a movie. How can I be a guest? Simple. If you're a fan of movies and you feel like you would be a good fit to sit here and talk with me about movies, just message me on Facebook or Twitter.
I think we have time for just one more, Andrew.
I know you're going back to college soon. What is going to happen to Flick Check?
You two sons of bitches are going to college.
Yes. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, Paul, you are not coming with me to college.
Come on, you gotta take me with you. I'm a hoot at parties.
Why are you even wearing my graduation robe from high school?
I was rummaging through your closet looking for something to wipe up a spill.
Keep it. Yes, I am going back to college soon, so what am I going to do when I'm in school? Well...
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say yeah.
Which is the best for
All right, guys, are we gonna do this thing?
Oh, Pierce, I hope that's the tiny gun that you throw at us to confuse us while you grab the giant gun that's duct taped to your back.
Seriously, this hardly seems like a fair fight. We're throwing a Robert De Niro party.
Oh.
I'm a taxi driver, De Niro.
Yeah, meet the fuck is De Niro. I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Sam Jackson, you know, from Jackie Brown.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yes.
No, you're
I don't see anyone else here.
I don't see anyone else here
We're trying
either.
to talk to you.
The path of the righteous man.
That's the wrong Sam Jackson speech.
This is what drives life in college. Are you having sex or aren't you? It's why people take certain classes and sit where they sit and do what they do when at some center, you know? That's what the Facebook is gonna be about. People are gonna log on because after all the cake and watermelon, there's a chance they're actually gonna get laid.
The last guy who went on him, he could have been a maniac. Hey, get these guys some new books. Get some new books, will you? I'll tell you what, charge it to me too, okay? Here, pick a card. And I'll tell you, I'm taking 4 of those school sweaters, a bunch of pennants, some of those beer mugs, a few of these fuzzballs you cheer with, and... Hey, folks, it's on me. Shakespeare for everyone, okay? You too, honey. Ooh, I'd like to tame your shrew.
Show's gonna last 3 weeks! 6 seasons and a movie!
Thank you for that montage, Paul. I get what you're asking. Am I gonna still do Flick Check while I'm at school? I think the most responsible answer I can give is as long as it doesn't interfere with my studies. But yes, I'm bringing Flick Check with me to college. So occasionally I'll broadcast from my house here in Kingston. I'm usually here on weekends. But during the week, I will broadcast from my dorm in SUNY New Paltz. So yes, Flick Check will live on. And yes, Discount Paul Schaefer is coming with me. Are you happy?
What do you think?
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel.
Discount Paul Schaefer, everybody. Like I mentioned, this is a fan video, so this is mainly a thank you to everyone who has supported me. I would never have gotten this far if people weren't watching, so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you, Paul thanks you, and I look forward to keep on doing this. I'll do it as long as you want me to. So, thank you for watching Flick Check. I'm your host, Andrew Waltman. Where can they find us online, Paul?
Facebook at Flick Check with Andrew Waltman. Like, share, whatever. And on Twitter at AndWalt. Walt with an O, not an A. He gets it all the time.
Okay, and remember, if you're not sure about a flick, let me give it a check. Have a good night.
I live again.